In the last 25 years around these hallowed grounds, there's not too many times we get to come away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in these days in May around the Indy 500 saying that we saw a piece of history. We saw that today. Scott Dixon, a now 5-time pole sitter for the Indianapolis 500, turned the fastest set of 4 pole qualifying laps that this greatest spectacle in racing has ever seen. 4 laps totaling an average of over 234 miles an hour, beat Scott Brayton's record set in 1996. Brayton turned 4 laps with an average of 233.718. Fortunately, that came just days before he tragically passed away in a terrible crash on this track. Since then, we've been waiting to see speeds like this. 1996 was the year where we saw several of the fastest practice laps that we've ever seen in this race. We haven't come close to setting those kinds of speeds until these last couple days around here. Second place, starting on the front row in the middle for next Sunday's race, is Scott's teammate Alex Palou. He finished second here last year, was also in the Fast 9, but made an improvement in qualifying, and will be very interesting to see how this year of preparing and thinking about how he gave that one away to Elio Castroneves at the end, how he ultimately builds upon that. Rinus VeeKay starts third, where he started last year. Had a pretty strong race, as he mentioned in our press conference just now. Led some laps early in this race, took on some great lessons, especially after his crash that he had as a rookie here. Will definitely be a driver to watch. Farther down the line, the rest of that Fast 6 included Ed Carpenter, Marcus Ericsson, and Tony Kanaan. The 6 that were eliminated earlier in the day were Takuma Sato, Will Power, Jimmy Johnson, Romain Grosjean, Pato O'Ward, and Felix Rosenquist. It was a tough one there at the very end. Ultimately, Pato knocked his own teammate out of the Fast 6. He took that 6th and final spot as the second to last guy to go in the Fast 12, and then Rinus came in and knocked Pato off of that last and final spot. So he starts this race in 7th, near his teammate there in 8th. Man, what a chaotic, crazy weekend this has been here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. These drivers in there talked a lot, had some mixed emotions, maybe you would say, about their thoughts on how this qualifying procedure changed. Of course, went this year to a Fast 12 that was followed by a Fast 6 instead of just the Fast 9. I believe it was Rinus VeeKay in particular that said he wasn't a fan of just having to put it all on the line, feeling all that pressure 2 times. And the Chip Ganassi racing drivers, Scott in particular, said he was happy for the fans that they got to see such an exciting day like this. Palou said, I think as long as you finish on top or close to the top in something like this, especially when you have 4 other teammates, it's a situation where Chip Ganassi Racing is just running that many more times in these similar conditions. They can learn a lot more and can ultimately help a team like that is so strong from 1 through 5. Here we go now. We listen to 3 of these drivers, the drivers that will now be your front row for next weekend's Indy 500, talk a little bit about the stresses that they went through today and ultimately their impressions of a legend of this place, Scott Dixon, taking his 5th pole, now just 1 behind Rick Mears.
It's more about getting it right, obviously, than when you don't. But you know, to live on that edge, you know, is an amazing feeling. And when you do nail it, you know, there's a lot of moving parts too. It's never just one person. I was lucky enough to drive that car. You know, Cannon did a hell of a job in setting it up. You know, all the crew people, you know, it's just a huge knock-on effect. And to be able to carry that across the line in the fashion that we did, you know, that's what it's all about. That's, you know, days like these are amazing. You know, but I think that's why everybody does it. It's just being competitive. You know, you want to win and you want to beat the competition.
The Chip Ganassi Racing team did a tremendous job having 5 cars in the Fast 12, 4 in the Fast 6. My car was really good. I think my best car was during Fast 6, so I was super comfortable. I think I did everything I had. I kind of wish that Scott, knowing that he had already 4 pole laps here, he could have gave me one, but he doesn't share much, so we'll try and get it next year.
Very proud to be in the front row again.
No way.
Haven't qualified worse than 4th in my 3 qualifying attempts at the 500, so very proud of that, especially at my age. And yeah, I think as a team we maximized everything we had. We made all the right decisions, and I had the best car I've had in qualifying weekend during the Fast 6 qualifying, so that shows how on point we were today.
These drivers still have 4 hours of practice time before we get to next Sunday's Indianapolis 500. First 2 of those come on Monday, a 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock practice session in the afternoon. It's taking place of the one that we would typically see on Sunday afternoon after qualifying. Haven't gotten a firm explanation on that, but I believe that kind of came down to the fact that that 4 to 6 window was the slot that NBC could put IndyCar for our Fast 12 and Fast 6 qualifying today, and there just wasn't enough time, enough daylight to at least give those guys that were competing and qualifying today time to retune their cars for race trim and allow them to have more practice time. You don't want it to be almost a disadvantage to guys in the race in terms of practice time to, Chip Ganassi Racing, for example, have all 5 of their cars qualifying and then maybe not be able to get all of their cars on track initially while you have a bulk of the rest of the field out there. And if you wait long enough for those guys to make those changes, we're probably not getting too much running here while it is light enough and safe enough to be running. So 2 hours on Monday, followed by lots of media for these drivers, lots of sponsorship obligations, maybe a little bit of downtime, certainly some preparing and meeting with engineers, and then we will get to carb day, another 2-hour practice on Friday. That comes with the return of the pit stop competition that we haven't seen in a couple years. It will be great to have that back. Folks who are here at the track, I'm sure, are excited to get some Carb Day concerts back that we have been missing for a couple years. Move on to Legends Day that has driver autographs, the public driver meeting, the parade, which is returning to Indianapolis for the first time since 2019. You have the Legends Day concerts, and then we get into race day. These gates open at 6 a.m. with the shot of the cannon. Really exciting day. If you haven't been to one and are making this 106th running your first time, I hope you enjoy it. We certainly have enjoyed this past week being around here, bringing you all this awesome coverage, either through Pit Pass Live, through IndyStar.com, through our Twitter channels. We hope you keep following. Again, my Twitter, @by_Nathan Brown. We'll be updating you throughout these practices this week, as well as tweeting out some links to some incredible coverage that we have, both looking at this field this year, looking at some races past, and looking back. A personal favorite of mine, a piece I'm working on that will debut online on Tuesday morning, a little bit deeper look at our defending champion, Helio Castroneves, and the year that he's spent as a defending champion here for the first time in more than a decade. Thanks again for following along. We hope you continue to do so. Reach out with any comments or thoughts. We always love to hear from you guys, and hope you continue to follow us through to race day on May 29th and the days that follow as we continue to cover this greatest spectacle in racing. For the Indianapolis Star, I'm Nathan Brown. Thanks for watching this edition of Pit Pass Live.